¿Qué tal amigos? Y bienvenidos a Haidong Gumdo Live. Yo soy el maestro Alexis Varela y yo sé que se han estado preguntando que dónde he estado últimamente, por qué no vine a trabajar el profesor, pero ya aquí estamos, con mucho gusto y créanme que yo los he extrañado mucho, así que ya, vamos a estar aquí de fijo y aparte ya viene el aniversario del canal, no me lo puedo perder, así que bueno, pero el día de hoy les traemos una nueva entrega de Haidong por el mundo. Y ahora nos acompañan nuestros amigos de Canadá, que como cada nacional es un gusto recibirlos aquí en nuestro país y ya saben que mi casa es su casa. Así que vamos a ver qué tienen que decir nuestros amigos de Canadá y chequen esto.
My name is Brad Bonyman. From Canada, originally the East Coast, Nova Scotia. I currently live in Calgary, and I have a school here called Calgary Haidong Gumdo. I'm 45 years old, and I've been training since 2002.
So, what rank are you?
Third Dan.
Okay, my name is Brian Ballinger. I'm the master of the Dojang in Halifax, Nova Scotia, the same province that Brad is actually from. And I've been teaching this September was the 10th year anniversary of our school. So.
I had graduated university, and I had friends in the city, but a lot of it, my daily life was just work and home. I'm not really a lazy person when it comes to exercising, so the way I do it is with groups. So in high school it was track and field, university was teaching swim lessons, lifeguarding, that sort of stuff. So when I moved to Ottawa, it was what wasn't much really that I was doing in terms of physical activity. I could go for runs, but in terms of a group setting. So I'd done some Taekwondo when I was a teenager, maybe for like 6 or 8 months. That was like, YMCA, your parents throw you into it. And, as a kid, it sounds cool, but once you find out that it's work, it's not as cool. So as a teenager and as a young, stupid kid, I didn't stick with that at all. But when I graduated university and I was living in Ottawa, I was looking for something. So I thought, hey, I'll start a martial art, go back to Taekwondo. And I tried a school that was near where I was living, and the feel of it was very institutional. It was, lines of students, it was payment plans and different program settings, and it wasn't what I was looking for. So I saw a flyer for a martial arts gala, and I didn't steal it. And I went and I checked it out, and it had all kinds of different, it was like a huge festival fair that was in this auditorium and all people demonstrating. So it was Kung Fu, praying mantis style, and there was Taekwondo, of course, and there was karate judo, and there's this one Haidong Gumdo. And the demo was pretty cool. It was unlike any of the other ones. So a couple weeks later, I went by the dojang and talked with the master, Chris Barr, and he had me try out for a class, and the students were all like super nice, and we went out to, I think, grab coffee or something afterwards, just the students. And I was like, my first day and talking with these guys, black belts and color belts, and it was just really cool. Just the environment and the group of students and everything was really cool.
I had no idea it was in Canada at all. I did not discover this martial art until I went to South Korea in 2003. My second time in South Korea, I was there teaching English. Yeah, so it took me, I got 6 hours of sleep. I went into the school the next day to meet my fellow co-workers, and I saw Douglas, and he said, Brian, how would you like to come and see the martial art that I'm doing? I'm like, okay, sure, I'm interested in that. I'd love to see what you're doing. So he took me to the Dangsan Dojang in Seoul. It's in Yeongnam-po, which is a really nice area. And the first thing he did when we got there was he took out his wallet and he gave me 15만 won, so 150,000 won. And I'm like, what's this for? He said, go pay the master. I'm like, what? Go pay the master. Like, oh, you want me to pay your dues? I'm like, no, you're taking the class.
Wow.
And I got my first mukum, my first uniform, and my first white belt.
That's pretty, like you said, that's pretty interesting.
So I got dragged into it. And my Kwanzingim, An Sung Hyun, who was the master of that particular dojang, takes me out, puts me into Kimase. So I'm in Kimase for about 20 minutes. And every time I felt myself going down, he'd come by and slap me on the back, get up. So that was my introduction to Gumdo. And when he let me sit down, I got to watch what the rest of the class was doing and was instantly intrigued. And it held with me, and I ended up going to that dojang. We ended up training 5 days a week for all the time that I was there, for about 3 years.
So how many students were they? And how many are still training?
When I started, probably maybe 12 or 14, and then I think at one point our highest class was maybe 25 or 20. Like it bounced up and down all over the place. Of those students total throughout the years that I remember, there's at least 3 that are still training. For me, it was, we had my master, Chris Bar, he was a younger fella, so maybe 23, 24. He was working on his master's in Ottawa after he come back from Korea. So he had a really strong physical drive, like he really drilled us. And it was, classes there were like 6 days a week.
Wow.
And when I first signed up, it was probably 3 or 4, and then once I got like better conditioning and whatnot, I started going for more and more. So it was probably at least 4, maybe 5 classes a week, and black belt in about a year. Curriculum at that point was Kyokum, so that was the short form step, and it was like 12 of those, and then it was Sungsu's 1 through 12, and then Shimsung. It's for your black belt, as well as paper cutting and candle cuts and board break.
So I attained my first dan in South Korea. And when I finished my contract with YBM about 3 years later, I moved back to Canada. And where I was living, there was nothing. I was living in Prince Edward Island, which is a smaller province. And it had nothing. So I spent a long time just training on my own, doing my own thing, trying to remember all of my forms. And I didn't know that there was a larger organization in Canada. And somehow through Facebook, I got in contact with Brad Bonnyman. And I got in contact with Brad via basically the Haidong Gumdo forums, which is a forum that was set up by another mutual friend of mine, Tony Boyd, who was training in Korea. And I got in touch with Brad Bonnyman. Brad put me in contact with another person named Chris Cozella. And Chris and I met up in Halifax, and I moved down there, and we started training together just offhand, like just to keep our skills together and set. Attained my rank of second dan. So I got my second dan in 2012. I got my third dan about in 2016.
Well, the teaching experience came before the want to teach. So as I was progressing, I was kind of told, okay, you're taking this class. I got an appointment. Okay, sir, I'll take this class. What am I gonna do? I'm teaching a class. And I was maybe first dan of maybe 2 years or so. So I knew my stuff, but teaching is completely different from doing. But the real teaching actually came organically. I moved to Calgary in 2007 for work and didn't have a school, wasn't training anywhere. And I was just in baseball fields, on weekends, training, keeping stuff up to date and whatnot, and came across a student randomly with Gumdo uniform. He was heading to class, tracked him down. Where are you, what, Gumdo? Calgary? Because there was nothing on the web. There was no schools. I checked. And so I got the address of where this guy was training. It was a Korean master who was doing it just as a kids camp for the summer in Calgary for the local community. So Kath and I show up, and we, sit down there with all like 8-year-olds and 5-year-olds, and there's Kathy and me. Yeah. So I'm 6 foot, and of course, sitting down, I'm still heads and shoulders above these kids. So just looking around, yeah, a little bit out of place, but it was a space to train under someone who's experienced. So that was great. And then he eventually retired from that, and I just took over the school, and I changed it to mostly adults or older teens. So and I just started teaching basically because I wanted to keep a space to train. So I wanted to have a space where Kath and I could still train. And
we were training out of his Taekwondo school that he was teaching, that he was an assistant instructor with. And after about a year, maybe about 4 months of that, we got in contact with the head of the Canada Association, Grandmaster Chong Wong Pat, up in Moncton, and we asked him, can we take on some students? Would this be allowed? Because we've had some people ask us about this. So he said yes. And so that was 2010. And then in 2014, we were told one of us has to get our mastership. So I went through the master's program. I got my mastership in 2014 and started teaching officially as the master of the dozang at that point. And so I've been teaching it in Halifax for basically 10 years now.
The hardest is just how far away we are from everything else. Canada is a big country with a small population, and we're spread out. Like, we have big cities. We have Toronto, we have Montreal. They're probably two of the closest, largest cities, but they're still a 2-hour drive away from each other. So, I mean, as well how far you are from Mexico City. So you're kind of in your own,
bubble.
Not by yourself, but geographically you're by yourself. So with me, the closest school we have is in Saskatchewan. And then the next one after that, I believe, is in Toronto, and then Halifax. And for me to drive to Toronto would be probably 2 days of driving. Flying to Toronto is a good 2 hours. Halifax, 4 hours. So getting all of us together as an association is very, very difficult. Technique-wise is probably the next biggest challenge. So for me, myself, to train, I have to go to either Saskatchewan to the next closest master. That's about a 6-hour drive away, or to a competition or a seminar, or go to Moncton to train under Master Chung or Master Park. So that's again, you can't do that every month. You can maybe do it once a year or once every other year. So it's probably those two things, but they all boil down to how far we are from everyone else.
My club, and for myself, because we're so small, right now we make no profit whatsoever. So for me even to go to Korea, that was my extra impetus for going to the Olympia last year. A lot of it came down to finances and being able to make enough money to go to get the cash, to get the lodgings and such. I did go to the 2016 Pan Ams. I was there with Brad. That was the first time I actually met him in person.
The only Korean competition I've been to, I'd love to go back, but the only one I've been to, the 2012 World Haidong Gumdo Championships. I think it was the last one before it became Olympia. Then the 2011 Utah Pan Am Championships, yeah, where I met a certain Master Jose. See if that's both the Las Vegas Pan Ams. Both the Las Vegas Pan Ams, and let's see, it's tough thinking of the others. Yeah, Mexico City. That was 2017, 18, 19.
Yeah.
You guys love your competitions. Funny stories. It involves actually Master Brian Gim. We were, it was 2011, I think, and it was our first major international competition. We've been to the Utah ones, but this is our first international one, and it was in Korea. And so of course we were just super excited. Kathy and I went along with I think 3 other students from the Toronto Dojang, Master Gims. So we had, I think it was the night before the opening ceremony, and we're just walking, back from the convenience store with Master Gim and some of their students, and he turns to us, me and Kathy, and says, "You guys have your white uniforms, right? You're second dan? Yeah, we do. Yes, sir." So okay, you're doing Yedo tomorrow, the opening ceremonies.
What?
So, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, we are. Okay, sir. So, and he, of course, said his other student, Scott, same thing. He has white Dan uniform, so he's going to do Yedo in the opening ceremonies too. So we were freaking out inside, like, no, we aren't. So, we were practicing that night till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then got up in the morning and practicing with Scott again, like in the little pickup area where the buses come. It was 3 foreigners in a parking lot in Korea, practicing furiously their forms. And I think Master Gim came over and said, "You guys should, settle down. You don't need to practice as much. You're just going to be standing there." "Wait, what? Well, don't we have to do Yedo, sir?" I think my voice had cracked. "Yedo, sir?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, no. Yedo, not the sword form. Yedo, like you're holding the swords up for the opening procession." Yes, we will.
And I think that's one of the things that when I went to these tournaments and when I was able to experience them, even experiencing the tournaments that I first went to in Korea, it was the connections that we made. It was the people that we met. It was the sheer love of the art with these people that we met. And I think that's one of the things that keeps me inspired. It makes me want to be welcoming, so that eventually, like, if COVID hadn't happened, you would have been here and Brad would have had his test. You and Diego probably both would have been here.
Yeah, that was
And
the trip.
I was looking forward to giving you guys lobster and poutine and all these other wonderful things.
Yeah, well, fourth Dan, that was supposed to be this summer, but postponed obviously. So next year, hopefully, cross fingers, that can get done. But it'll be more competitions. What I found with Haidong Gumdo, I don't know what it is, but the people that you meet are pretty awesome. Again, martial arts in general, you meet usually pretty good people, but I've found in some of the tournaments I've gone to, some of the best people that I've met and close friends have been there. So I would like to encourage my students to try to come to some, whether it's Mexico, Las Vegas, Korea, all of them. Any ones that are open to international students, I find have a really good atmosphere. Even the local ones, like the regional ones. But it's been really good meeting people from France and Italy and Spain, Mexico, all of the states. It's been really, really good, and it just has that connection that I think helps the organization to grow. And being sort of a solo school or entity, you can train, but you don't have that sort of family bond or building experience you do with a larger community. So that would be the biggest goal for next couple of years.
I'm really wanting it to grow. I'm wanting the Canada Association to grow and to become stronger, more not welcoming, more prolific and more
In there, like visual, people.
visually seen.
Yeah.
And if I can, that would be great. That's one of the goals that I have for this year, is to just build it a little bit more. 2021, yes, we've been hit by COVID. I don't think there's going to be an Olympia next year, but if there is, I'm working toward that.
Yay.
That's what I want. If it does exist, I'm going. I'm bringing as many of my students as I can this time. I'm pushing that issue and pushing to try to get some funding to build that up. Also in the future, we just had, Christian, you remember Christian Drake, just successfully tested for his second Dan. So he's got his second Dan now, and he's nipping at my heels on third, and I've got to get to my fourth Dan, and I need to get a little higher. So I'm pushing myself to try and get to that point too.
Yeah, For information on our school, you can go to Facebook. Everything's on there. Calgary Gumdo, Calgary Haidong Gumdo, and we have our website, calgarygumdo.com. That's just basic content for information. So Facebook is where you can get most of our up-to-date live stuff. For Canada, we've got Dojangs in Saskatchewan, Master Ron Roy, and then club in Toronto, Queen's University, Haidong Gumdo. There's also in Moncton, Haidong Gumdo with Grandmaster Chung. And in Halifax, we've got Master Brian Gim. And then that's about it. Canada, 5.
We do have a Facebook page. If you go to Facebook, it's Halifax. It's Haidong Gumdo Halifax. And I think you're in there. I'm not sure if I invited you or not.
I watch all the advices.
That's one of the things we actually were so sad about. Matt and Christian both mentioned that, like, as soon as COVID hit, when they realized that it probably wasn't going to go on, they were really, really sad about that. As was I, because all of my students were wanting, like, yeah, we're all going to go this.
Hopefully next year we'll work something out.
¿Qué tal, amigos? ¿Les gustó? Créanme que a nosotros nos encantó la idea. Así que bueno, ya saben lo que tienen que hacer. Tienen que seguirnos en redes sociales, en Facebook, en Instagram, activar la campanita de notificaciones, darle un corte al centro, cómo extrañaba hacer eso, a ese botón de like, y recuerden también poner en los comentarios a quién más les gustaría que entrevistemos, qué país les gustaría que expresara aquí su opinión sobre el Haidong. Ya saben, ustedes díganos y nosotros lo conseguimos, sin problema. Y recuerden que también en nuestras redes sociales estamos subiendo cómo ustedes van cumpliendo el reto de este mes, que es All I Want for Christmas is Haidong. Así que bueno, estamos esperando sus retos. No se esperen hasta el final del mes. De una vez vayanlo subiendo, nosotros lo vamos compartiendo y lo vamos viendo. Así que bueno, muchas gracias, dejen sus comentarios y estamos viéndonos la próxima semana. Cuídense mucho y hasta pronto.